Welcome to REI 101. Happy March. It's the first of the month. Wrapping up Q1. Do you think like that? Like what quarter you're in and what part of the quarter? And
No, I really kind of think monthly because
oh, you think monthly?
yeah, yesterday was the first of the month, so I think of Bone Thugs and Harmony, first of the month. Friends
Yeah.
do, friends
Yeah.
do.
That's the song that gets stuck in my head every single month. The
Yeah.
first of the month. So, we got a lot to cover, not just today, but this whole month. We got quite a bit that we're going to be hitting on right now. So, today we are talking about the mystery of deal analysis. And I'm going to dedicate today's episode to Sean Collins, who is moving in the right direction. He'll be putting a property under contract today.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's got a little four unit. So hopefully he jumps on the call. But
Oh,
Sean,
cool.
if
If he doesn't, can we go over that one? Do you kind of can are you go over some of the numbers without giving like the address and things like that?
I think I would be more comfortable doing that next week.
Got it. Let's get it under contract first, right?
Let's get this one under contract. But this is the deal analysis intensive. So if you can't analyze, is that the word? Analyze? You must
Analyze.
be able to analyze these deals. So today we're going to talk about cash flow, net operating, your NOI, and different returns, your cash on cash return, your cap rates, etc. We will talk about next week reserves and reality checks. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the third week, March 16th, we'll be talking about financing and how financing really can make or break a deal. Good financing can really. Now, I just bought a house, and I can give you the details on that one if you like.
Okay.
I think that's going to be a rental.
All right, we can dive into that one.
But it was. I mean, what do you want to know? You want to just ask me? You just want to interview me, and I can go sit on my
Yeah,
chair,
I can. I
chair,
can ask you
chair
about
back there.
NOI, cash flow, and everything that we're going to talk about. We can just dive into that deal. I like it when we have like a live deal to go
Okay.
after. And I think listeners and people that watch this like to see real numbers, right? And not the hypothetical,
Yeah.
and kind of what can go wrong. Like we're going to talk about all that stuff today. Um,
It can't.
and
There are things that can go wrong, but
even with a single family rental, there's a lot that can go wrong
yeah.
if you're not careful.
Now I can tell you. So how do you want to start this? Like say I'm your student. So I just bought this house. Um,
Well, if you
for
just bought the house, we went through a whole bunch of other stuff right before you bought the house. So
yeah,
now
and
you closed on it, right?
yeah, it was so far. I am my favorite client in the last 12 because I didn't ask for anything on the inspections. I did get an inspection.
Man.
I did get because everything that was on the inspection I already knew going into it and I already
Yeah.
accounted for when and being the fact that interesting dynamic, the seller is a friend of mine and is
Okay.
someone that we all know. If you've ever been to our
Cool.
happy hours, you know this guy.
Were they just looking to offload? What was their exit strategy?
He's certainly looking at offloading and he may have
Mm,
more inventory down the future.
okay.
Um, So going into the relationship, going into the negotiation, there was already a relationship in place. And so there was a lot of there was trust there.
Hmm.
And so there was no reason for us to, not say something or be anything less than completely transparent about what we were getting into.
Right.
So the house had been a rental house. It had been abused, but it's in a town I know. So that's the first thing. LaPorte, I'm very familiar. Done a lot of business in LaPorte, Texas. So I'm very comfortable with the city of LaPorte. I've done flips in LaPorte in the past, never had an issue. No problem.
Hmm.
It's in a really cool part of town. It's in the state streets, never flooded, not in a flood zone. So it's just like all these things were like, okay, that's just one less thing for me to think about. So part of my mindset is I'm just my schedule's pretty tight. I don't
Hmm.
like to use the B word, when it comes to that.
Right.
But my schedule's a little tight, so I just needed something that I can just put the money in and set and, kind of keep an eye on it, but put people that I trust in charge. And so Javier, who's all in this call, he jumped all over it, gave me, you know, some good numbers, and we were able to kind of go back and forth until we landed on a number and a scope of
Okay.
work that made sense for us. So I bought it for 100,000.
Okay.
Rental comps at 1,500 a month.
Okay. Well, how many beds and baths is it?
Three, it's 3 bedrooms,
Mm-hmm.
1 bath with a laundry room that I'm was thinking about converting into a bath. I still may convert it into a bath down the road, but I'm gonna get some cash flow going first.
Okay.
If I were gonna flip it, I may have added a bathroom. It makes a little bit of a difference, but
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
so bought it for 100. Also, the ARV on that is at least 200.
Oh, wow. And how much work are you putting into this thing?
I'm gonna put 30 in it.
Okay.
30,000.
Okay. That's not necessarily just a cosmetic. It's not just cosmetics, right? What are you doing? What are you doing to it?
Floors.
What's your renovation look like?
So we're doing all the floors, we're doing all the plumbing, putting PEX all throughout. It already has a new roof.
Okay. So redoing the plumbing, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
plumbing is important. Redoing all the bathrooms in the kitchen. We already removed all the counters. We're gonna put brand new counters. The other cool thing is that the previous owner uh, replaced all the windows when he replaced the roof, and he did
Okay.
some foundation work a couple years ago. It's a pier and beam. It could use a little more attention to the foundation, but that's I don't have to do it right now. That's something
Hmm.
I'm like in my mind. I know like in the next 2 to 5 years, I'm gonna need to drop a few $1,000s on doing the foundation again. Pier and beam constantly needs. I mean, this pier and beam's always
Yeah.
got
It
foundation
continues.
issues,
It keeps moving. Yeah.
but I mean, it's still perfectly livable house and has a really great backyard. So, and I'm open to pets too. I think it would be a good home for a small family with a pet.
Did you
So
have to put any money down?
put 20K down, and he's financing it at 5%. So my
So seller
mortgage is like,
finance.
yeah, my mortgage is like at a 30-year amortization.
So it's a $80,000. He's financing 80,000, right?
Yep.
You got it for 100. You put 20K down, so your notice for 80K at 5%.
Yeah.
You put 30K renovation into it, so you're all in for 50K.
In a 50K.
And because you're not using a bank or a lender, your closing costs were probably a lot more,
Yeah.
less. You're not carrying any escrow and things like that, so you're paying that
No.
stuff
I'm,
out of pocket, right? Whenever you're ready
yeah.
for that, and then you're gonna get $1,500 in rent. So cool.
Let me
All
share
in
my
50K.
let me share
Yeah,
my screen because I want to.
cool. We're just gonna dive right in. Let's just go for it.
So I love this. Where's Zoom at? I got an amortization calculator that I pulled up,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I think that this is a really good tool. Everybody should know how to use this, and they should understand why these numbers are the way they are. Like this, I mean, look at this graph. Isn't that a great graph? It
Yeah.
shows it shows there's a reason why your payments are the same. Like, have you ever wondered why do your payments stay the same when the balance goes down? Why does why does your amount going toward the interest go down over the life of the loan? Why why does the principal go
Oh
up?
yeah. Yeah.
Why does it cross?
Click on monthly schedule. That's a little bit right next to you have it's right there under amortization schedule. Click
Hmm.
on monthly schedule right next to annual schedule. Yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome.
So you're mostly
Man, so
paying interest at
your
first.
monthly payments 429. So what's your so let's dig into that a little bit more too, right? One of the things that we're talking about here are some of the expenses that go into owning rentals, whether it's a
Hmm.
multifamily rental or a single family rental. And one of the questions that I get asked by students or that I pose towards my students is, okay, when you're underwriting these properties and you're thinking about cash flow, which is what we're kind of looking at here, what are some variables, right? And they often overlook the fact that your taxes and your insurance tend to go up every
Hmm.
year.
Right.
You know, I think the only time my insurance ever goes down is maybe car insurance. It might go down, you know. But your homeowner's insurance, your landlord insurance, whatever you have,
Yeah.
and your taxes tend to always go up. So kind of looking at trends and looking at the market and trying to estimate, okay, is my insurance going to go up 1%, 3%, 5%? You know, do the same thing with your taxes so you can help with number one kind of factoring that in with your turnovers, right? Our monthly rent rates, are they also appreciating kind of around the same, 2, 3%,
Hmm.
to where you can cover some of those additional expenses that you have.
Yeah.
So when you were underwriting this, like, would you come back for your taxes and insurance since you're going to be paying that,
Hmm.
outside of escrow?
So I went straight to my good friend Smith at Albright at Allstate Insurance. Got a quote for windstorm and dwelling, a little more than 1,200 a year. So
So
I'm
together total?
yeah, so about 100 and change per month,
Okay.
say
About 100.
125.
That's pretty good.
And then yeah, because it's not in the flood zone. And then it appraised. Another thing that unfortunate is that the seller protested his taxes.
That's good. I
So
protest my taxes all the time.
yeah, I'm very thankful for people that protest their taxes because it helps.
Hmm.
Um, so it appraised in 24 for 100,900. So and then it appraised last year for 93. So he was able to get $7,000 knocked off the taxes. In fact, his assessment in 25 was lower than it was 2 years ago.
Okay.
So so he went back in time 2 years with the tax assessment.
So
So
there's an instance where your taxes can go down a little bit
yeah,
if if you're protesting your taxes.
yeah. So the total liability for the taxes is 2,388. So about $2,400. So about 200 a month.
Okay, so you're about $700 now,
Yeah, about
about
seven,
seven or $800. Yeah,
more like 750.
750.
Yeah,
Right.
more
So
like
that's your
750.
PITI, right?
Mm-hmm.
PITI is 750.
And,
All
and
right.
I'm not going to escrow those. I'm going to pay those out of my
Correct.
pocket.
So then the other thing we think about, well, what's good is you're putting 30K into this. All right. So you're going to take care of probably any type of, well, you're taking care of all the big CapEx stuff
Mm-hmm.
up front,
Up front.
right? What
With
are
exception
the,
of the air conditioning. I'm gonna
yeah, so I was going to ask, where
hold
what
up.
do like the appliances? Because as a rental, you typically provide appliances for your renters. Some people, some landlords will supply like a refrigerator. Some of them require the renters to bring a refrigerator. I think at this price point, I would provide a refrigerator for my renters. Do you have, is that part of your budget or is that already there?
I have another after this $30,000. I have another 5,000 to play with that I just kind of put aside for things like that. So I mean, we have a stove already. I may get
Okay.
I haven't decided if I'm going to replace the stove. It's kind of old, but um,
Yeah.
I may not even put a fridge in there. What I found with a lot of some tenants will have their own fridge. And some of them
Yeah.
will be like, this is not a deal without a fridge. And I'm like, well, if I
Yeah.
have to get a fridge, I'll get a fridge, you know.
So we own 11 rentals and not one of them has ever been rented without a fridge. We just put it in there. For us, we like to make that process or that move in. We try to remove as much friction that might keep someone
Hmm.
from, walking into our property.
Yeah.
And then maybe it's whatever the market is saying to do, Austin, right? You're looking at
Hmm.
other rentals, right? And this is how you came up with $1,500. You're looking at other rentals. Did they provide refrigerators with those? If they did, it's probably a good idea if you do it too,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I probably will. So
I think you should. I think you should. So okay, so you got that. You got your taxes, your PITI. So you're taking care of all of this CapEx stuff up front, and probably any maintenance issues, right?
hmm
So, Javier, obviously, if he sees something, he'll say something. If he sees something that's not really on your scope of work, he's not just going to paint over. It's like, hey, Austin, you might want to take a look at this. We might want to go ahead and fix it now,
Yeah.
right? So you might want to put maybe 1 or 2, maybe 1 to 5% of rent to the side for CapEx maintenance. I think for older homes that you
Yeah.
don't necessarily remodel, maybe 10% of your rent you put up for CapEx and maintenance. Um, and then what about vacancy?
Vacancy is still about 10%
Okay.
across the board. I mean, obviously, it's
Right.
I was telling how like some people are buying multiplexes. This is a monoplex. So when it's vacant,
Yeah.
it's vacant.
So if when you put up those things, you're probably close to maybe 900, 950. If you're putting that money to the side.
Yeah.
If you're, yeah. And so you're cash flowing like, okay, 5 grand or $500 a month,
Yeah. 550 grand per month is
550. So that's
the
times 12, right? So that's 6,600 divided
six.
by,
Yeah.
divided by 50.
Say 55.
Okay. We'll say 55.
So
That's
6,600.
12%. That's just cash flow. That's just cash flow. That's
That's just,
cash on cash,
yeah.
12%. All
Yep.
right. Now we're not talking about the other things, and we can dive into that because you're really good at that, right? Is your internal rate of
Yeah.
return, right? Your debt
Hmm.
pay down, your tax, your depreciation, your appreciation, like all
Yeah.
those things. We can dive into that too. Did you run the numbers on this particular
Oh,
property
it's
too?
right here. I can tell you exactly what it is. So in 2 years, I'm confident that I can sell this for 220. And
When?
I may
Like
put
as soon as
enough
you're done renovating it or in a year or two?
in 2 years. In two
Okay, two
years.
years. Gotcha.
Because there are already comparable houses selling above 200 right now.
You already bought this at such a big discount, though.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Well, I guess
It
when you put the cash into it, when you because you're putting 30K or 35K, you're still 70%, you're below
yeah.
70%. So you still have 30% equity on
Yeah,
this thing,
I
you know.
do. It will be worth
Okay.
220. I'll probably will put another 10 or 15. So I'll probably be all in at like at maybe like 70,000 by the time I'm done with it. But 220 minus 70,000, that's 150,000
Man,
just on the
dude,
return.
you and I don't go run for like 3 or 4 weeks, and you're over here buying houses. I had no idea. That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Yeah. Um, Also, it was a pretty quick decision. And you're mirrored. Like every major decision, every decision over $100 filters through my wife. And
Yeah.
this is what I explain to young married guys, especially men that are looking at investing. Like if you don't understand this deal well enough to explain it to your children, not just your wife, but you've got
Hmm.
to be able to explain it to like people that don't understand real estate. And that's part of the reason why we do this show is like, dude, I don't care how sophisticated you are with the numbers, like you got to be able to explain it to other people. And I have seen some really good deals die, especially like on the SBA side, like businesses that are trying to get SBA loans. You have to present some type of business proposal. And
Hmm.
if you're going to talk over people's heads, they're not going to give you a chance. So if
No,
you're looking to raise capital or whatever, like that's pretty key right there.
definitely.
So okay, so I got the Alberto stamp of approval, right?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. I mean, you got the team in place. Obviously, you ran the numbers. What's your turnaround time? Did Javier kind of give you a time frame on this?
Fourth week in March.
Okay, so you're gonna go live probably mid-March, maybe last week of March.
Yeah, I put a sign already. I'm already getting calls, so I'm already collecting
Yeah.
leads on that. That's what I do. And then we may be able to get somebody in there the last week of March, April 1st. I would say
Okay.
April 1st is realistic.
That's good, man. Man, but you have a rental hitting the market. I have two rentals on the
There you go.
market right now
You want
too.
to break one of
So
those down?
sure, we can break one down because I just kind of remodeled one, did some foundation work. I can tell you the backstory on that one. Why don't we do that one? So the
Okay.
address is 5710 South Seas. It's in Houston, Texas. It's 77033. So it's like south part of Houston.
Okay.
And it's a 3-1, same as yours. And so we were already had an infinite return because we had already pulled all of our money out by the time like after the first year and a half. We've owned the property since 2020. We refinanced in 2021.
Okay.
So let's just kind of go off of
Can
we
you
had to
break that
put it.
down, that concept of infinite return down a little bit more?
Yeah, yeah. So what that means or how I interpret that is to go back a little bit, what we were doing, we were kind of breaking down all the money that you put into the deal, right? You put in 55K into the
Hmm.
deal. and you got this seller finance, but typically conventional financing, you're going to go get a loan. You're going to buy this property because it needs work. So you're probably going to use short-term financing, which we're going to talk about this month in one of our later calls. And you're going to put this money into it, right? All of this capital into it, and then you're going to go get it refinanced.
Hmm.
And the burr strategy, which we've talked about a lot here. But sometimes when you do the burr strategy, you don't get every single dollar back out. It's not a perfect burr.
Right.
So when we refinanced this in 2021, we had about $10,000 left in the deal.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more, maybe 12,000 left in the deal. But we were cash flowing probably about $500,
Okay.
at the time. So if you look at that, it's like, okay, how long is it going to take for me to get that to get my money back out of the deal,
Hmm.
right? Now we're doing small maintenance requests and things like that, so I keep track of all that. But it took us really about um almost 2 years to get all of our money out with the cash flow. So
Right.
remember that 10K that I said that we left in? It took a little bit less than 2 years to get all of that cash back out with the cash flow that we made
Hmm.
from the property. Make following? So then when you have all that out from that point forward, you now have an infinite return on cash
Yeah.
because you no longer have any of your capital in this deal.
You've invested less than zero into it.
Yes. Yeah, you have zero in it. Now, we've had to remodel this house a couple times in the last 12 months. We had some major we thought it was a foundation problem, which it was, but it was actually a much larger problem that we didn't identify until the second go around. So we ended up putting probably another uh $30,000 into this property over the
Okay.
last 12 months. So let's just say now that's our investment in this property. But since we first rented it out back in 2021, our rent was about 1,300. We're now renting it out for 1,700.
Nice. Nice.
And our PITI is right around 950. Similar,
Curious, did
very
you get any objections about not having that second bathroom?
No, no. I mean, I can't remember if we had enough people comment negatively who
Okay.
came to look at the property. So yeah, it's a really nice house. It's got a huge backyard, and we allow pets too. So sometimes, and then most of the people that we had in there were either single, like couples with no kids, or like single moms with one child. So we were blessed to have really good renters that
That's
didn't
good.
really mind only having one bathroom, right? Now it's a three bedroom, so if we have a family of six, right, or a family of five, they may pass our listing up just because they might want that second bathroom.
Sure.
But back to the numbers, right? So we probably put about 30K into this deal within the last 12 months, and we're cash flowing about $700. We'll just call it an even seven, right? So if it's 700 and we're doing that in a month, we're making $8,400 a year in cash flow, and we put about $30,000 into it this over this last 12 months. We got a 28% cash on cash return,
I
right?
like it.
So that means that we'll get our money out in a little over 3 years, based off the cash flow that we're making. You know, if we're not doing any more major renovations, like part of that 30K was we got a new roof.
Hmm.
We didn't get a new roof when we bought the property in 2020 because we felt like, hey, I think we're going to be fine. But 3 years later, we started to see a little leak here and there. You know what? Let's just replace the whole thing,
Yeah.
right? Why pay another $1,000 here or $500 there to patch it up? Let's just replace the whole thing, right? So we did that. I mean, that was like probably one of the biggest expenses of that 30K. We got the roof replaced. We did some more foundation repair. The story though that I wanted to tell you about this was we did about 25K, 20 it was about 20 to $22,000, maybe $24,000 what it was to redo the foundation because the flooring started to bow up and it was LVP. It started like a big hump
Hmm.
in the kitchen. I was like,
It's a
what's going
slab.
on?
It's a slab foundation.
It's a slab foundation.
Okay.
And I was thinking, man, this foundation is messed up, right? That's what I thought it was. So we had a foundation company come in. Our renter moved out. Like she went on to another place. They had to rip up the floor. All right. They redid the foundation. Okay. So then we had to bring our guys back in to put new flooring in. All right. We just went ahead and repainted the whole house. I told you
Hmm.
we did renovation. We repainted the whole interior of the house, put a new roof. We fixed some siding and things like that on the outside of the house. Got some new renters in last May. All right. This is when we did this. We did this last year. I'm not kidding you. Less than a year later, this hump came back. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So these people had a couple months left, or about 3 months left on their lease. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to force you guys to move. How about you don't pay rent? So that $1,700, you go get an Airbnb for a couple weeks and let us come in and try to fix this. So they moved out temporarily, moved some of their stuff out temporarily for a couple weeks. We come in and we pull up the floor, and what we found out, Austin, was underneath the tile, there was tile floor. Then when we moved in, we just put LVP on top of it.
Hmm.
Well, underneath that tile was actually a hardwood floor
Oh,
that was installed over a foundation that had big cracks in it. So whenever it would rain, water would actually seep in through the foundation and get that hardwood underneath those tiles wet.
so the
And over
hardwood was
time, it
swelling.
expanded.
Yeah.
Yes. So we ripped up the floor. We saved the flooring this time. So I didn't have to go rebuy LVP. We saved the flooring. We ripped that up. We cut all of that wood and tile out. Then they had to come in, and because they had to get, there was a big gap. I mean, there was a big difference in level between the slab and where the LVP was. So they had to bring in treated wood to bring this level back
To
up,
fill
put
that
that
gap.
down. It's like a subfloor basically on top of this slab. We
Wow.
did have to come in and fill a bunch of cracks. So we had our foundation company in and filled some of those big cracks. Got it leveled again, put the LVP back on, and all of that was probably about 8 grand to do all
Wow.
that. Well, let me see, 45, 55. It was $6,000 to do all that. And they got it done in 2 weeks.
Nice. That's
Yeah, and
crazy.
then our we got our renter back in there, and then our renter's in the military, and I'm like, okay, hey, your lease is gonna renew on May 3rd. We really love you as renters. We're not even gonna go up on the rent. Then he sends me an email. I'm being deployed.
You being deployed.
Oh man, that sucks. So
Yeah.
now we're gonna have a vacancy, but it's okay. But now because now we got it repainted, we got a new roof in there, we got the foundation repaired. We're gonna keep the rent at the same amount at 1,700 because we're cash flowing like crazy on that thing, man. So I think we'll
Good.
be we'll be competitive there. But
Even with
that's
that $8,000 surprise, huh?
yeah, yeah. Even with that, and so what's cool about that property, we only owe $99,000 on it. You know
Okay.
that's the balance. That's the principal that we owe. So our
Do you think looking
PITI.
back that there was anything you could have done to prevent or get ahead of that issue?
Yes. Yes. So this was so when we first got started in real estate in 2020, we closed on two deals 2 weeks apart in October. One was a
Hmm.
full gut rehab flip in Galveston, and the second one was this one. And just not knowing what we didn't know, what we should have done was just picked up this tile, right?
Hmm.
Instead of just putting LVP on there, we should have just demoed the floor or at least just be curious. What's
Right.
underneath the tile, right? And then we would have seen this wood, this old rotted wood that was termite infested or before what it once was. We would have gotten all that stuff out of there,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and then we would have seen the big cracks in the foundation, so we would have gotten those sealed up, and that would have our renovation budget would have been a little bit more, but it kind of is what it is.
It
It's
would have saved
lessons
you more
learned.
in the long run.
Yeah, it's lessons learned. So that's a good story, man, of our first rental, and we're holding on to that. It's in a really good area that's starting to gentrify now. It's on a really big lot.
Hmm.
It's about 7,500 square foot lot. Um, I've checked with my replat company, and unfortunately, we cannot replat and we cannot build more than one single family home on this lot for now. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I think that those laws might change or those ordinances and things might change in the near future, with the need for housing in Houston. So I'm
Yeah.
like, we're just waiting it out. So, and it's cash flowing like crazy. So I'm just like, no, I don't want to give this one up.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, if it makes
Yeah.
sense. Let me ask you this. Something I haven't asked you about. You mentioned pets. What is
Uh-huh.
your let's talk about that because there's a lot of we work with a lot of landlords that just are 100% against them, and then some of them have very strict.
Yeah.
Um, and then when you ask landlords, what is your objection to pets? I actually get different answers.
Hmm.
In your experience dealing with pets, What are the should do's and should not do's? What do you avoid? What do you charge for pet deposits? What do you expect? What challenges do you expect from a tenant that has
Yeah.
dogs, for instance?
So one thing that the reason why we do allow pets and we put it on because we put our requirements on our listings so then
Hmm.
people understand like, hey, here's the base requirements, and then we put pets on a case by case basis, you know. And I'm a landlord though that is very attentive because I feel like being a landlord is a customer service business. You
Hmm.
know, if you're self-managing.
Hmm.
And if I'm not self-managing, I want a property management company that's going to treat my property like our tenants, they are our clients, you know, and they have a certain standard because I have a standard, right? They need to keep the place clean. They need to let me know when there's maintenance requests, and they need to pay their rent on time,
Right.
you know. And so what I do as a landlord is I actually go out to every one of my properties every quarter to replace the HVAC air filters because I don't feel like left to the renter, I don't feel like they're ever going to do it. You know, I do have spring and fall maintenance on the HVAC that happens on all of our properties. You know, we have a company that we use. They come out like clockwork twice a year, right? But I want to go out and replace these HVAC filters because it also gives me an opportunity, one, to stay connected to my renter.
Hmm.
So it lowers the possibility of turnovers because now you're not just somebody they send money to. And I can do a visual quick inspection of the property.
Yeah.
And so when I have renters who have pets, I can see, are they taking care of their pet? Is their pet, damaging the property? Are they keeping the place clean? All those things, you know. And then
Mm.
if there's issues, I can bring it up, right?
Yeah.
And we can talk
Okay.
about it, right? So what we do though ahead of time is it kind of depends on the breed. You know, if it's a big 80 pound, 100-pound Great Dane or something like that, we're probably going to say no. You know, we're not going to allow that pet. If it's a small little lap dog, little Yorkie or something like that, sure, you will allow that. We've even allowed a pit bull because we love pit bulls. I think they get a bad rap. We've allowed a pit bull in one of our properties, and she was the cutest and most loving little dog. And she was a smaller pit bull. We allow cats. Now it's probably just one. You don't want a crazy cat person living in there with 10 or 15 cats. And what
Oh,
we do
we're
is
going to
we
be getting
charge,
phone calls now.
yeah, no, no, I said cat person. So
Okay, person.
we also require a non-refundable $300 pet fee. It's not a
Okay.
deposit, it's pet fee per pet. Now, some landlords, they'll charge pet rent. They're like, hey, your rent's going to be an extra $25 a month, right? Or
Hmm.
something like that. Um, if we just charge that, it's a non-refundable pet fee to really kind of handle maybe some deodorizing or
Hmm.
maybe things like that on the turnover. You know, we will cover that, you know.
You find that that
Um,
deposit usually covers anything?
well, we've been blessed because the people who we had renters that have had pets, they've taken care of the house,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know, and honestly, we're not really holding any of their original security deposit back when they're moving out because they did a really good job keeping the house clean and
Yeah.
taking care of the house,
Yeah.
you know. I don't think I've ever held back any security deposits, you know,
Oh, that's
all of our
good.
renters. And again, going every quarter to go
Hmm.
inspect the property, there's no surprises. You know, whenever a renter moves out, I'm not discovering some, baseboards and doors ripped off the hinges or some of these nightmares that these landlords might have, you know.
So that's I love that you brought that up, and I didn't know that about the AC filters. Issues that I've been told is fleas can be
Hmm.
a major issue. Number two, just paw scratches
Hmm.
on the ground can ruin the floor, and you may need to replace the
Yeah.
floor. Obviously, urine and
Hmm.
that,
Yeah.
and then the other one is I have seen a lot of houses where the dogs will chew on the frames of the doors.
Yes, yeah, I've seen that too. One of the things too that once we have like the lease signed, right, and they've paid their pet fee, And we tell them this ahead of time. So let me say this. We let them know that this is a requirement. Their pet does have to have their immunizations. And we have to see proof of that, right? To make
Okay.
sure they've got their like their rabies shots and things like that. They don't necessarily have to be registered wherever they're at because that can get costly, when you're moving around, but they
Hmm.
do have to have their immunization,
Yeah.
up-to-date immunization records because what we don't want is that dog biting someone,
Right.
and because that's our property, right? We have liability insurance and then, the renter has liability insurance too, but we require that as well. Now, on those inspections, right? Those quarterly inspections, you can see things and smell things, right?
Yeah.
If you know what cat urine smells like, you know what dog urine smells like, you can look and see if there's any stains or any bite marks, and you try to get ahead of those things,
Yeah.
and then just it can be part of your lease agreement is, if you have a pet, you have to take care of the property and you will be billed. And maybe, I don't know if you can terminate the lease by with a pet, damaging the property if you notice something before the end of the lease. I don't know. We'd have to review some landlord laws on that, but
You brought up something interesting that you stated that being a landlord is a customer based business.
customer service, yeah.
It's customer service. It's a customer service. Now, we do have a lot of clients that their mindset is I don't want them to bother me. I don't want them to call me. I want to make this as easy as possible. I'm in this for the mailbox money. And if I'm having to deal with them all the time, that defeats the purpose of investing in real estate. And I know a lot of people that think that way. How would you handle that objection? What would you
Hire a
say to
property
some?
manager.
Okay, either hire a property manager.
Yeah. So, Julia and I help her, like she's a property manager for five listings, five different
Hmm.
units in Houston. And part of that agreement is they have to use a specific rent collection system. So rent isn't coming directly to us or anything. We're not handling any money or doing anything like that. And maintenance requests also go through that system. And in your lease, it has how long the landlord has to respond to certain types of maintenance requests.
Hmm.
We all know like an emergency request is it's July and the AC is broken. That's an emergency request.
Yeah.
That's going to get a 24-hour reply. Most of them are 3-day replies, 2 or 3 day replies. But that's what I would say is you really want that true mailbox money, hire a property manager.
Yeah.
And so and that's what her clients do is they hired us. I say us, we're kind of a team, but we're using her license because she's able to be a property manager with her license. But we work together as a team, and you know, that's what I would say. Cool. Get a property manager. So if you're looking for a property manager, Austin, like
Or
manage
maybe
your
you
property.
should just not be a butthead and just be nice to your tenants and go say hi.
Yes. Oh, I thought you were saying for me to go say hi to your tenants. Yes.
No, not
Yes. Go
you.
say hi to your tenants. Like, don't be
You're
a
looking
good
at me
landlord. Don't.
like,
No, I thought you were like, because I was
oh,
like, maybe we can manage your property. And you go, oh no, you can just be nice. Like, be
yeah, don't
nice.
don't be a slumlord. Like introduce
Don't be a
yourself and
slumlord.
you
Don't be
know.
a slumlord.
So
Yeah.
how do you deal with tenants then? So since you have crossed that line and make that connection and I'm sure you're the nicest guy in the world. Everybody loves you, but how do you deal with tenants that are just calling you all the time or like
No
how do
one
you
calls me. No one calls me. And again, I think it's you set the precedent with things, right? And if someone ever does call or text me, I may take a while to reply. And if I take a while to reply, I will gently remind them, hey, for any maintenance requests or questions, go through this Rent Ready app. And then that way, because I see it and the owner sees it.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so, go through the Rent Ready app. That way we can track it, because I'll tell them, hey, I get a bunch of texts all day long and I may miss your text,
Yeah.
or it may just get kind of pushed down and I forget about it. So let's put it through there. So you train your renters, what to do if they want the best possible service, the most efficient service and replies to the maintenance requests. So I don't have people calling or texting late at night. My phone goes into sleep mode, right, at a certain time,
Hmm.
and I've got my security system, the company, and my kids and family as favorites. They're the only people that can really get through. anytime at night. So if someone sends me a text at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm not going to get it until I get up in the morning. So you train your renters to do that. We've had issues with rent collection,
Okay.
with renters paying late. I've had to go through the eviction process on one renter, and I helped some friends out on a couple others that went all the way to to the arbitration
Yeah.
with the the court clerks. So it's gotten
And
that
the
far.
and the police had to show up and escort them out of the
No,
house.
no, they didn't get that far, but it got to the point where it went to court, right? Like they filed an appeal, and then they didn't have a lawyer, of course, but it went all the way to that point where my friends had to get a lawyer. And
Yeah.
so it can be a little costly, but at the end of the day, you have to do it, because the longer you wait, your expenses just continue to go up. It's missed out rent. So I've had to deal with that. I deal with people paying rent late consistently, and they consistently pay the late fees.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you want to pay another $70 per month when you can just pay your rent on time? So, but it's all in the system, right? Like it's not me saying that they're late. The system's already configured. And
Hmm.
so the
Hmm.
system, that software is telling them, hey, 3 days before is the first, hey, your rent's going to be due on the first, right? They get another message on the first, hey, your rent's due today. They
Yeah.
get a message on the second, you know what? Your rent's past due now. On the third, it's past due. On the fourth, it's past due. And now you have a fee. I don't have to call and nag people. Now, when it's about 5 days past due, then I reach out just because that's part of my SOP, my standard operating procedure.
Right.
If they're 5 days past due, are you still living there?
Yeah.
I mean, did you
Yeah.
move out? Is everything okay?
Hmm.
And even if they consistently pay late, Austin, I still follow up with them every fifth day of the month because that's part of my standard operating procedure. Have a feeling they're just going to pay late and they give me the same response. We're going to pay on Thursday or something like that. Okay, cool. And they pay all the fees and they're
And they pay the
fine.
fees. They don't ask about it.
No?
Did you find that the eviction process is tougher or easier than you would think?
Well, the first time we went through it with a good friend of ours, it was her very first renter too. I felt so bad for her, but she stuck to it. She got another renters in there, and it's been amazing. But they were like it was so easy because we did the 3 day notice to pay or vacate, and then we filed a petition after that with the court, and then I think they had like 30 days, or they had like maybe 21 days to file an appeal. They filed an appeal on the 20th first day, which gave them like another 2 weeks to show up to court, which they did not do. Once they didn't show up to court, we got something called a writ of possession from the court, which is a default judgment for you. And then within the next week, the constable called me and said, hey, do you know if these people are still living there? Do I need to show up on Tuesday or on Monday? And I said, let me find out. I went by there
They were gone.
Sunday afternoon or Monday morning, and they were gone, and
Okay,
actually
so
left the place pretty clean and everything,
lucky.
and sent like half of what they actually owed, sent it
Oh,
the day they
okay.
moved out.
So this question I want to ask you: if a tenant takes the process that far, there's a lot of landlords that believe that tenants that fight that hard know the game and they're trying to play the game. Do you find that to be true in those
Well,
cases?
let me reframe it for you. They know their rights.
They know their rights. Okay.
So we can, from the landlord side, they're playing a game. You know, from the tenant side, they have rights, and I don't know their situation. And maybe they are professional, people that go in, stay for a few months, and then we're gonna get a couple extra months out of this because we're gonna ride this eviction process for as long as
Hmm.
possible, right? But those things go on your credit.
Yeah.
All right. You have these judgments against you at that
Hmm.
point because you owe rent. And so the landlord can file a judgment on you and hire a credit collecting company to
Yeah.
report on your credit and go after the money that you owe. Some landlords just don't care. They're just like, you know what, just get out.
Just let it go. It's not
Let
worth
me
the
just
fight.
move on, right? And but you never know. Some people have extenuating circumstances too, and they're just not great communicators.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you have to give them a chance because you've given them multiple chances through the
Yeah.
eviction process. You know what I mean? Like they just ran out of chances. You
Right.
know your rights as a landlord too,
Hmm.
and at the end of the day, you treat it like a business.
I remember being like 21 years old with a brand new baby and coming home to find an eviction note on my apartment door. And I found the money quick. Like like when I saw that, I was late on my rent. I don't even remember if I knew I was late on my rent, but I remember that note. I'll never forget that day. And it was scary. So I would imagine that I always felt like just putting that warning on the door probably
You would
prompts
think, yeah.
most people into action, you would hope.
Yeah.
But if
But
not,
man, I procrastinate doing stuff around my house. I mean, people procrastinate finding that money, you know. And I think if you have other people involved, like let's say you have roommates, like it's not a situation like you're a young family with a newborn, like you, that's a little bit more dire,
mhm,
right? But if you're just three or four adults that are roommates that are in a place, and you're pointing fingers at, well, what are you going to do? Where are you going to get money? Blah, blah, blah. And that goes on for a week. And now you're just running out of time.
yeah,
I'm just speculating, right? I don't know what goes through people's heads, but at the end of the day, the eviction process is there to protect both parties, right? There's a specific process that you have to follow as a landlord. And if you don't follow that process, that renter can buy more time
yeah,
because,
yeah,
again, they have specific rights, okay? And you have a specific duty
hmm,
as landlords to get them out of your property in the right way, right? The correct way. So,
good stuff. Well,
so we talked about all that. We did talk about some
we
numbers.
haven't even started on the show yet, and it's we're already out of time. No, that was a good tangent. Yeah, breaking down those deals. I mean, we probably more or
We
less
broke down two deals.
covered a lot of what we wanted to talk about today. But
Yeah.
know your numbers. We're going to say that every week until the end of time, whenever however many shows
Hmm.
we end up doing. Hopefully, it's a lot. Know your numbers. Understand how much money you're putting into it, how much money you're getting out of it.
Hmm.
What's your cash flow? What's your NOI? What's your ROI? What's your cash on cash return? And if you don't, just listen to the show. Go back and listen to past episodes. Everything that you need to know, we've talked about or will talk about. And we do take requests. So if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or however you found us, shoot us a line. We stream this call live at 12:30 every single Monday. If you want to be live on the call and interact with us, you're welcome to do so. Just shoot
Hmm.
me a line and we'll add you to the call. Otherwise, leave a comment, show some love and share this with a friend. Albert, any final words from you?
No, man, I'm just going to repeat what you just said. Know your numbers. Know your numbers or work with someone that can really help you understand those numbers. Don't
Yeah.
go at it alone. You got a bunch of videos here on the YouTube channel. Um, Austin, people can find you wherever on Facebook, all over. They've got my number. Just give us a call. We'll be happy to help you.
And if you want us to break down one of your deals live, we can do that as well. We will detour to analyze the deal because we learn a lot that way. So, all right, man, have a good week. Hopefully, we'll get back to the trails here soon. And
Yes.
I'm Austin from Houston. Anything you need, let me know. Have a good one.
Have a good one.